turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. Yeah, it's lit in the chop shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't based in debate, but they keep it fact straight. Going 30 for 30, let's do a first take on Facebook Live from 12 to 2. Rob Hatter and Jim Hicks going back and forth like Carter Ray and Skip Bayless and Stephen Smith. From on the court, off the court, straight to the field. Not a man that steals, but I made it steal. To the octagon where I fight to kill. We go face to face, then you write your will. I don't play tennis, but I bring the racket. I'm on the floor, I attack the basket. Put you in the casket when I'm overlapping. Never showing mercy, cause I'm always snapping. Never showing mercy when I'm in the arena. Step into the ring, he hit me as I beat him. Step into the court, I'm never backing down. Killing competition, I'm smacking down. Let me get back to the other stuff at the chop shop, cause they cutting up. It's retro, coming to you live to the chop shop. Now let's turn it up. Yeah, we in the chop shop, man. Shout out to Jim Hicks and Rob Hatter. You can catch the chop shop live from 12 to 2 on Facebook Live. Let's get it. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop.
H-Town, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim the Cheat Sheet Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, but we're broadcasting all over the world via YouTube and Facebook. And I'd like today to take a shout out to all the people who've been going on YouTube and rewatching the show, Jimmy. I don't know if you've been checking. I appreciate y'all, because one of these days we're going to surprise you. Instead of Facebook, we're going to go YouTube. So you get your YouTube account, subscribe so you can get the notifications. But here we go on a wild Tuesday, Jimmy. A great college coach is now going to Carolina. The Giants just hired somebody nobody heard of. And the Cleveland Browns have no idea what they're going to do at this point. Not even getting the interviews they want. And Jimmy, I'm kind of a little mad because I'm sitting here thinking, I know we got a special guest coming up today on this Tuesday, but I got to hit this because soon as the guests go off, we going right back at this. Eric Bieniemy, y'all help me. Y'all got to help me. Is the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. You know them Kansas City Chiefs that got the Pat Mahomes and the best quarterback, the MVP from last year. He ain't got hired yet. And Jimmy, the last time one of Andy Reid's, Jimmy, you know I do my research. The last time one of Andy Reid's coordinators left and went to be a head coach, he won the Super Bowl. Doug Peterson, Jimmy. Hey, hold up. John Harbaugh is one of his guys. He a bad dude. Matt Nagy, they all work, Jimmy. None of Belichick guys work. This young guy who just got a job, man, Joe something, man. Let me click Joe. Joe. Jimmy, Jimmy, Joe Judge. Jimmy, you ain't never heard of Joe Judge. Just because Bill Belichick and Nick Saban say he's all right. Jimmy, they went and hired this dude, man. And none of Belichick guys work. But Jimmy, I had to just go there, man. Because I know we got a special guest. You can line it up because he's going to be here in a minute. But I had to get that off my chest. Because later on, Jimmy, we talking about this NFL. We got to talk about this. They doing these black coaches bad. But let's go. What you got?
I mean, it's so much to talk about. And of course on the back nine, we're getting the grab bag, but coming to join, we're expecting to be joined shortly. You know what? It's the top of the new year. And I tip my lid to a lot of you guys out there because I know that the power of the chop shop is magnifying and penetrating throughout the community, whatever part of the country or the world that you are residing in, or selling the seven seas in the case of Darrell Anderson and his wonderful wife. Now,
how you know? How you know it's reaching, Jim? Tell me what. Tell me how you know it reaching.
well,
How you know
because
it reaching?
because you can look at the response level and the amount of text messages and emails
Yeah.
that are sent to me to various email boxes. Now, we encourage you guys to direct your Chop Shop related emails to chopshophtx@gmail.com. Chopshophtx@gmail.com. And that's the email box for Chop Shop related material. Otherwise, you guys, you cross up my wires. You send me Chop Shop stuff to the RCS Sports box and vice versa, and it delays or it hinders my response to you guys. So try your best to do that. Also, I love the way that your parents and your relatives are taking the initiative to ask your questions that you may have about this recruiting stuff or the rigors of the recruiting waters. It is definitely we do our best to try to help provide intel that may be able to equip you to navigate through this stuff. Also, we enjoy keeping you guys informed on a lot of the things that happens in our community all around the nation in regards to social or economic things that comes up, and we try to address it and get your thoughts. That's one of the things about the Chop Shop. If you're a first-time viewer, you see the comments that are streaming on along the right side of your screen. That's what those guys comprise what we call the Boom Boom Room. Remember, it's a spinoff or just a pull from the old movie Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. And remember the characters Ray and Claude. And during that movie, they had a soliloquy about the Boom Boom Room. So that's the Boom Boom Room. Feel free to pose your questions and your comments, but try to keep it clean and definitely above the belt in your response. Remember, nobody's designed or designated on that Boom Boom Room to agree with whatever who is presenting a topic or a question or an opinion. That's the thing about it. Let's keep it going. Now, with that being said, we gave a disclaimer. Let's get this thing rocking. And
Jimmy, did you say anything about? I said it once. Please subscribe to our YouTube page because Jimmy, I've been seeing a lot of people go over there and watch it because I don't know. Sometimes if y'all realize Facebook be holding up and not having the clarity. YouTube have very good clarity on the Chop Shop, so it's a great way to watch the Chop Shop. So I just wanted to let y'all know that.
Yeah, and do that as well. Okay. Now, once again, we are expecting to be joined shortly by a head college coach. And once again, I call this day Cool Ass College Coach Day. So that's what we do. Cool Ass College Coach Day. And we're gonna have cool
you always got to do some. You always got to have some cursing. You know what? You like Eddie Haskell. You always want to get in trouble.
But no, it's all one word now. Cool Ass.
Okay. Cool. Oh, Cool Ass. Okay, I got you.
Cool Ass College Coach Day. And that's what we got.
Right. Okay, I got you.
And now, shout out to Tyrone Irvin out there. He took me back and said the upper room.
The upper room.
The upper room. And but anyway,
Jimmy,
guys,
we got some new listeners, and you didn't really explain. Ray, somehow when Jimmy and I get into our little debates, people just, laugh. And Walter Yates came up with this moniker for us, and he gave us Ray and Claude. Because Ray and Claude in the movie Life, they always got into it all the time. They never agreed on anything. But guess what? At the bottom, at the end, if you go to the end, they wind up together no matter what. No matter what happens. So that's why we affectionately call the Facebook feed the Boom Boom Room. So I just, because we got new listeners. I keep forgetting we got new listeners. Jimmy, and a shout out my sister is watching from Memphis, Tennessee. She hadn't watched in a long time. I know she at work. And girl, you better have them earphones in at work so them people won't so you won't get in trouble. So Jimmy, what else we got before Coach come in?
Making a lap around the NBA news last night. One of the highlights from last night was they had a few games on the docket in NBA, but only one or two games that had some pre-game interest to it. And one of them was the Philadelphia game. Yeah, that was the top of the chart. And of course, Philadelphia played OKC Thunder. OKC came into there with a 5-game winning streak.
Yes.
However, Philadelphia took care of business on their home court, and Philly won that game. But anyway, we'll talk NBA and we'll push the NBA topic back.
Yes.
So later on in the hour, because right now.
Wait a minute, Jimmy. Why are we pushing it back?
Because we got a special guest right here. That's what we got. Remember, it's Cool Ass College Coach Tuesday. Now, Coach, I know compliance is watching, so cool ass is one word. You know, they can say, trust me like this. Did my homework. In the great state of Louisiana, they can say cool ass. They sure can say cool ass. But cool ass is one word. Now, meanwhile, one of the coolest college coaches, head college coaches out there is Coach Eric Kunkel from Louisiana Tech. And we welcome you to the Chop Shop, Coach. What's going down?
What's up, Coach?
It's good to be with you guys again. Last time I was in studio, but I'll take Skype. I'll take Skype.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, 11-3 on the season. You guys are off to a good roll. You're 2-0 in conference play, right?
Yes, sir.
And I was looking at the schedule, and I noticed the Conference USA. You open the schedule. That's very rare. Something I saw on the schedule to the first 2 games of your season in the Conference USA was playing the same team twice with a home and home. Have you ever done that before?
I've never done it before, and it was unique to our league. But some teams in our schedule, they're playing their travel partner twice in a week. Most of them are happening during the middle of the season. Ours just happened to be at the beginning of the season. So it made for, like we told our guys, like an NBA playoffs, where you've got to be able to be ready for adjustments. You got to be able to be locked in to preparing against the same team. And thankfully, our guys were able to do that.
Now, you mentioned travel partner. Can you detail and elaborate on what a travel partner means when you're talking about conference play?
Sure. In Conference USA, we have 14 teams. So there's 7 groups of 2. Our travel partner is Southern Miss. Rice's travel partner is North Texas. UTSA's travel partner is UTEP, and so forth. So what typically happens, like this week, we will travel and play UTSA on Thursday. During that same time, Southern Miss is going to play UTEP on Thursday, and then we flip. So then we'll go to UTEP Saturday, and Southern Miss will go to UTSA on Saturday. So it just kind of flips, and it's a way to organize the schedule.
And ironically, in the SWAC, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, that they have travel partners as well. TSU and Prairie View are travel partners. And that's why you guys may have seen this past weekend, Southern and Alcorn both came into Houston. They got a chance to stay in the same hotel, which was very rare because Prairie View and TSU are both, both in Greater Houston, they both touch and not within 40 miles from the base, the center of the city. Well, Saturday, TSU played Southern while Prairie View played Alcorn, and they both flipped on Monday, which was last night. So that's unique because now.
And Jimmy, I want to add something to that because, Coach, I learned a lot about travel partners because my son was at Cornell. So Cornell and Columbia, they traveled together. Then Princeton and Penn traveled together. Then Harvard, I think Harvard and Dartmouth traveled together. And Brown and the other, Yale, they were travel partners. And Coach, I was looking at your resume, and I know you were, under Jim Larranaga Street. And my son's coach happened to be Bill Courtney at the time. And did y'all some way cross paths in that gym at George Mason at one of those colleges?
Absolutely. Me and BC were together for 3 years at George Mason when I first became a full-time assistant coach, and have known Bill Courtney for a very, very long time. They got the band back together down in Miami now.
I
Coach
see.
Courtney's back down in Miami with Coach L. So, yeah, that's family right there.
Okay. All right. I thought I'd add that, Jim.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and another thing I was looking, it ironically, what makes this Coach Kunkel, what designates him as cool because of the fact that he and his staff wasted no time diving into the great state of Texas and recruit this state like none other. As a matter of fact, in the magazine, right, in this year's magazine on page 66, you guys see right here, but I have a section in the middle that identifies the top colleges. It says, which out-of-state college has the most ex-Texas players on the roster? I just found the error in the magazine because the error, it says on here, 6. And there's one school with 6, Louisiana Tech. Guess what? I looked on the roster. Coach, you got 7 from Texas. You got 7. So do you realize no other school, Division I school in the country has more Texas-based players than you guys, and you guys are still sitting at 11-3 on the season. So basically, does it feel like you have a 19U AAU team that you put together at Louisiana Tech?
Well, we love the state of Texas, Cheat, and we absolutely had that as part of a plan when I arrived here 4.5 years ago. There's just great programs, there's great people, there's great families, there's really good coaching and great competition. And our staff has been dialed into Texas from all over the state, but primarily Houston and driving up to Dallas and all of East Texas and down to Beaumont and Port Arthur and everywhere else. So we've got 7. One of our walk-ons is from Texas. And we'll do shooting drills from time to time. We'll say, hey, Texas versus everybody else. And, because half our team is from the great state of Texas. But we enjoy the kids and the families there very, very much.
So what's the risk versus reward about having so many players from out of state? Because that means, you understand, you only get 13 scholarships, right? And more than half of your roster, half of your scholarship players are from the greatest state of Texas. So that means, is it first of all, give us the risk versus reward, and also how do you handle the pushback from some of the Louisiana people, high school and summer coaches alike, grassroots alike, from saying, hey, coach don't like us, he ain't recruiting our area, he going to get those Texas kids and whatnot. How do you handle that?
Well, we always have an inside-out approach to our recruiting. We'll take a look just in our own backyard and evaluate from a very early age to our elite camps and team camps, getting out to high school games, and we'll evaluate those kids and their programs. We just signed a young man, Kenny Hunter, from Huntington High School in Shreveport. Very, very good player we're excited about. So when they're close by and there's a great fit, we're absolutely going to recruit them. But from our geographical area here, we're actually almost just as close to Houston as we are to New Orleans. We're actually a little bit closer to Dallas than we are to New Orleans. And making trips along those highways, I will say, in the state of Texas, with the athletic periods and the ease to be able to in one day go to 3, 4, 5 high schools and evaluate is really, really important to us to be able to maximize our time. But we want to recruit and be very, very strong within 5 hours of our campus. And that includes Louisiana, that includes Texas, includes Arkansas, includes Mississippi. And there's just been such a pipeline and such a wealth of talent in Texas that we've been able to attract really good people here.
And that is a great thing. And of course, live, you just tune into the Chop Shop. We have head coach Eric Kunkel from Louisiana Tech live on the show with us. And coach, you came about the long route. Of course, you've been at several schools, and you landed at at Louisiana Tech shortly after Coach White took the job at Florida. I remember that a couple of years ago. I think it was back about 2015 in that season, and then you came on over there from Miami. What's the difference in the different regions? You in Miami, it's a different type of recruiting that goes on in Florida, or is it not? And then coming into the state of Louisiana.
Well, I think recruiting is is very similar in the way that you're trying to match opportunity, you're trying to match interest. And, when I was at Miami, we're way down there at the bottom of the state, and we had to recruit all over the country. My frequent flyer miles on American were incredible. And when I say country, it was even world. We were international. We were in every major city. We were, of course, recruited Florida. Here, Louisiana Tech has such a strong name, and there's such strong talent right here. Within 5 hours, we continue to recruit Florida. We have 3 guys from our team from Florida as well. But I really think recruiting is about having a relationship, building trust, and a young man and their family looking at the opportunity that we have, especially here at Louisiana Tech, being a Tier 1 national research institution. We believe one of the top programs in our league, and some great history from Karl Malone to P.J. Brown to Paul Millsap to even Eric McCree, who we coached here a few years ago that spent some time with the Jazz. So we're excited about what we're doing here.
And of course, I mean, speaking of Karl Malone and Paul Millsap is putting in work this season. Nobody saw that coming for him to have been in the NBA and performing at such a magnificent rate as he has done over the past decade. Now, speaking of giving back, what do you do and your staff? How do you guys plant any seeds for these young men to understand, after you finish here, come give back to the next person? Or how do you get them to want to give back in their communities?
Well, there's several examples and things that happen here. First, we talk about examples of guys before you. Karl Malone lives here. He's very, very generous to our program and to our university and our community. Same with Paul Millsap. And they're able to do that with great means and resources. They've been very, very successful in basketball and beyond. What we do is we have a reading program to local elementary schools here. We had a tornado here back in April that really created a lot of damage. There was 2 lives lost in our community. Our guys were part of the cleanup that happened just right after that, involved with our entire community and campus. And we've also done other types of programs throughout to bring people in and be a part of the family. It's the neat thing about Louisiana Tech and Ruston is this is such a family environment here, and our guys feel that type of connection to the community, and we certainly want to foster that and give back any way we can.
And of course, what we do, Coach, we'll go to the Boom Boom Room and have some of the viewers that have questions for you. Now, I've already gave the disclaimer to let you guys know that college coaches, Division I coaches specifically, they are prohibited from talking about any specific prospect unless they have signed a letter of intent. And so first, we know one player that has signed a letter of intent, and that player, speaking of the magazine, happens to be on the front cover. Coach, have you saw this magazine yet?
I've seen it. It's a wonderful magazine. I like the cover very much.
I know you do.
Kenneth Lofton. And you guys understand he's from Port Arthur Memorial High School. And he's one of the top players in Greater Houston this season. He surged on the scene by taking the leap of faith and playing with on the sneaker circuit. Remember, he had not done that before in the 17s. And this young man blew up. When did you first, now once again, guys, so you understand, Coach Kunkel can talk about Kenneth Lofton Jr. because he's already signed a letter of intent. That's the only way that college coaches can talk specifically, publicly about prospects. Now, when did you first see Kenneth Lofton Jr.? And tell us, how did the recruitment, how did you get in and then seal the deal?
Well, we identified him fairly early last year. Talvin Hester on our staff was down in the region and watched him play and got excited about him. Of course, we're in the middle of our season, and we're still at that time trying to finish up our 2019 class. But of course, we want to be proactive and get to know our area very, very well. But Kenneth excited Coach Hester very, very much, and we stayed in touch with him. And then in April watched, and then where I got to know him much better is he came to our elite camp. We have a camp every single June, and he came even the night before. hung out with him and his folks. His mom went to Grambling nearby. His mom and dad both have lots of family in Louisiana, not far from here. So there's a great connection there, and I just loved the way he played. He had a great camp, and I offered him right after the camp. I was very excited about him, and then we like to think we recruited him harder than anybody throughout the summer and the fall, and we're very, very grateful and excited that he's going to be joining us next year.
And so now, as far as freshmen, in your experience, Coach, how many freshmen is on your roster right now on scholarship?
We have 2 freshmen right now. 2 freshmen.
2 freshmen. Now I'm just asking you to just questions to help enlighten and educate a lot of the audience out there. What rate and what determines and how often do freshmen play more than 10 minutes at the Division I level? Just carefully, I guess entertain that. I know it's different players are different and situations and coaches are different, but under you.
Yeah. Every situation is so different. This is my 5th season here. I'd say my 3rd and 4th season, we were very injury ridden. And then in those years ended up having 2 freshmen start and play a lot. We've got 2 freshmen on our team right now. Both of them are playing double-figure minutes per game. One is a guard, one is a forward. I believe in playing freshmen. It's a way to develop your team not only for the present, but also for the future. I know some people would say that if you look at the NBA champions aren't one that's made up of rookies playing a lot. Well, that's the NBA. It's a little bit different. Those guys have played for 10 or 12 years. We've got 13 scholarships. If you just average out your classes, that means you could have 2, 3, or 4 guys be freshmen. And we need those guys to be able to perform. And so it's part of the recruiting process we look for guys that are coming from winning programs. We look for guys that have maybe had to earn their way throughout because they're playing at a program that's used to winning. And then, of course, we're always looking for the right fit. But every year is a little bit different. We've had, again, some teams where 2 guys have played an awful lot. We've had 2 all-freshman guys in one year. I had one year where both our freshman was a 6-man backup that played starters minutes. So it just depends each year. But there's always opportunity. And I always say, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, the best players are going to play.
And understand that. Now, transfers. Are you one of the coaches that dive into and rely on a lot of transfers, or do you normally get the guys straight out of high school and develop them through that manner?
The majority of our team has come from high school players. We've had a number of really good ones, and the majority of our team is focused on high school players. We'll have on our roster each year, we'll have 1 or 2 guys come from the junior college ranks, and then we'll also have 1 or 2 guys from the transfer ranks. Right now on our roster, we have 2 guys that were at institutions previously. We've got 1 player on our team that was at a junior college. The rest of them come from high school.
And so you've been places, the pros and cons of high school players, because some coaches go and they'd rather have 22-year-olds versus 19-year-olds. What's the pros and cons, and that curbs the ideology of recruiting efforts for various college coaches, and specifically of yourself?
Well, I think it's a couple things. I think one, it's what the head coach is comfortable with and what they want their makeup of their team to be. But then also it's what's your school's format. Some schools aren't friendly towards transfer credit, just admitting transfer students, whether it be junior college transfers or 4-year transfers or graduate transfers. So you got to be able to really focus and look at what the school allows in transfer credit to then allow that young man to be successful. But I look at it as we've got such a wealth of high school talent within 5 hours of our campus. We spend a lot of our time there. I really enjoy the process of bringing a guy in and knowing him at 17 years old and seeing him graduate at 22. And then, but of course, every time that there's a need, whether it's balancing classes or a position or trying to get older in a spot, we take a look at every opportunity out there.
Now, Coach, we'll go to another question from the Boom Boom Room. Chuck asked, what do you look for in players? And specifically, what type of players does Louisiana Tech recruit? What are you looking for first, second, third, and whatnot?
Well, first thing is, and it's when you first come across somebody, it's typically watching them play. And we certainly look for some type of skill that we can count on. And I try to figure out immediately, first thing I look at is, does that young man love to compete? Does he love the game of basketball? Does he love to compete? And that can look in a couple different ways. Maybe it's a guy that just pursues the backboards incredibly, or a guy that is really a great passer, and you can tell that he's doing whatever he can to help that team win. Once that there's an attraction to somebody's game, then we really dial into the other intangibles. We get transcripts. We talk to their coaches. We try to find out what kind of student they are. Are they motivated to graduate? Are they motivated to do well in school? And then we take a look at and get to know them as people. Are they a good teammate? How do they treat their mother? Do they treat their parents with respect? All those types of things are really, really important to finding is this the right type of person for our program? Because I absolutely love what I do. I love that we've got a talented group of guys in our locker room, but I've also got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old boy, and we have our team over to the house a lot. And our guys, my kids that live with me, love our guys, and they treat them right. There's a great group of people. I love being around them, and I think that's what makes it fun here.
And as you guys just tune in, you see we're asking, this is a head college coach, a head Division I coach. This is Eric Conkle at Louisiana Tech, and he's addressing what college staff, specifically what his staff looks for when they're recruiting the players. Coach, what are some of the deal breakers? Have you ever had to pull out of the driveway mentally on a prospect that you guys may have been beating in on, and he may have, without saying any names, may have done something mischievous or social media for the dreaded Twitter?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have 13 scholarships, and each one, if you calculate it all out, is going to equate to over a $200,000 investment in somebody's life. And it's also into someone who's going to represent our university, not just in these 4 years, but for many, many years after. But we've certainly pulled out of the recruiting process on several people from just trying to figure out maybe they didn't love the game or love the improvement process as much as we thought. But certainly we've done it from behavior or things that we've seen on social media to things that they shouldn't be doing, because as a head coach, we represent everybody here. Athletics is really the front porch of the university. It's the first thing people see. And I feel like my responsibility more than anything is, one, the health and safety of the players that we recruit and bring here and helping in their development. But overall, that is to represent our university in a first-class manner and have a team that everybody can be proud of.
And that is definitely, Hatter, you got the questions, Hatter?
I saw Herb had, he said, do you ever wonder, Herb Baker had asked the question, Coach, do you ever wonder why certain student athletes aren't being recruited by D1 programs? You often wonder why they don't have multiple D1 offers, because they're playing so well. Then he said two junior college coaches will call you, and then it all becomes clear. I don't know if that's a question or a statement, but I think it was geared toward you. Do you ever wonder why certain student athletes aren't being recruited by Division I programs when you see them?
Well, the first thing is if you hear someone's being lightly recruited and I like their game very much, I get excited, because maybe it's just something that we see. But then at the same time, that's where I said you see someone's game first, and then if it's someone that you're interested in recruiting, if there's a need for that position, for that type of player, then you start doing your homework. And for any parent, coach, or player out there, it's so important to be on top of your academics. It's the first thing people miss, and it's not just about just barely qualifying. It's about us as a college basketball program trying to figure out how much attention and how much support is that person going to need, and very honestly, you don't want a team full of guys that need a ton of support.
Good point,
because it's just something that we've got to be able to assess. Just like you don't want a team full of guards or a team full of big guys. You've got to be able to look at your roster in a way that, how can we help this young man? How can we make sure that we're not spreading ourselves so thin if they really are at academic risk?
I got one more, Jimmy. Let me add this one caveat because I saw it on the feed. Somebody said they noticed when you gave your soliloquy about who you like and what kind of players you like, they noticed you didn't mention what summer program or what summer team they played for, or what or what sneakers program they played for. They noticed that you didn't do that. Was that by design?
I didn't even think about that. I didn't have any type of bearing on how we recruit. We're going to go out and we're going to find names. And there's a number of people, according on this call, that we'll take names and hear and want to take a look at, and where they come from, how big their city or big their school or what type of summer program they come from has no real bearing on our attraction. It's evaluating them as a player and a person. And, sometimes when they play, depending on that type of environment they play in, that aids us in that evaluation process. But it's interesting, and you guys know the rules are changing for the way that we can evaluate. We're spending a lot more time in the high schools. There's the NCAA academies now in the summertime. There's very limited time that we're going to be able to watch people with their summer programs. We rely on video a lot more. We're just trying to dive in as much as we can to learn as much as we can about each one of these young men.
Speaking of the NCAA College Basketball Academy, Coach, do you think it was a success, or would you have preferred to just go back to the old way in July for us recruiting?
Well, I'll say we ended up finding a guy that we really liked in Ty Elder that we signed from Allen High School that I saw for the first time in that event, and I thought that was a great avenue for him to showcase his skills. I like volume. I like as many opportunities as possible. I went out every single day possible, from the Scholastic events in June to the AAU events that we were able to. I do like those AAU events where you can have iron sharpen iron, and you can really have the best guys play against the best guys. I think in the NCAA academies, you just got to get the word out more. There's a lot of guys that didn't know about it, didn't register, didn't get invited. And I think as the talent improves in those events, those will get better and better.
And lastly, Coach, this year, the South region will be moving from Houston to South Carolina. The Midwest region for the college basketball camps in July, the NCAA camps, will be in Wichita State. Do you think that's good for the Deep South or not?
Well, I'd prefer Russ in Louisiana. But we knew that it was probably going to move. It's a lot of work on those institutions and the way they bid it and how it goes. And this is all still going to be new. And just like anything, you still try to work the kinks out and find the way to make it best. But we're going to be where the guys are. And like you said earlier, where the guys from Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, wherever they're at, we're going to go find them.
And Coach, we're getting about to land the plane. I know you guys have to get ready to go and get and prepare for that next conference game. But lastly, Twitter. I mentioned the word Twitter earlier. I know that there are people now. You have different. First, you start off with scouting services. Then you have recruiting services. You have video services. Now you have social media services. What are your thoughts in your program? Do you take, or do you guys subscribe to recruiting services, or the people who charge the parents a fee and then they try to solicit them to colleges. Scouting services, which you know is, of course, scouting services are the NCAA approved, who colleges can subscribe to, and they are supposed to just provide you with intel. Do you guys subscribe to, or what is your view on the recruiting services? Do you support those at your program?
Yeah, what we really do is we subscribe to different scouting services that people are going out, and I'm very careful. I want to know who's going out and watching those games, and having that type of relationship and knowing that there's evaluations. The early evaluations in the information is very important to us, because then I've got 3 really skilled and talented assistant coaches that will initially go out and watch, and they know what I like, and then I'll go out and watch. We do get emails every single day from different other services where maybe a young man and their parents have outsourced, almost like a marketing firm, to get their information out. We take a look at all those emails still and make sure that no stone is going uncovered and nobody's slipping through the cracks. So we'll take a look at all that information, because there's so many good players out there. We just got to make sure that we're doing our due diligence. But I will say this, we really rely on our eyes very much, and the people that we've trusted over the years to lay their eyes on people, and then we'll get out there and watch.
And I want to give a shout out to Coach Duffy Conroy and Desmond Heyman, and last but not least, Coach Talvin Hester, yes, for helping, for beating the streets, because Louisiana Tech has been very, very visible. If you missed it, yes, there's no other college in the United States of America with more out-of-state college, that is, with more Texas-based players in uniform this season. They have 7 from the state of Texas, and that is humongous. May not seem like much. You only get 13 scholarships, right, guys. They only can sign a max of 3 per year, 5 in the 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Have they changed that rule, Coach?
Well, we can fill 13 no matter how it works out. So if you have 8 available, you can go. But you're right, that used to be a rule. Okay.
And so shout out to those guys, those coaches. Coach, I want to thank you for the time. And I'm looking, guys, in case you wondering, Louisiana Tech is 11-3 on the season. They're 2-0 in Conference USA play. Beat Southern Miss. Let me get my thing. Listen, this is what they did, Coach. They beat the
snot out of.
Beat the snot out of Southern Miss. I'm talking about, Coach, I'm looking at the score. Hal, do you see the score?
No, I hadn't looked at it.
I'm going to tell you the score. 8-49.
What?
Then they came back and played them again 5 days later, and it was 78-50.
Coach, that was great scheduling. I know they're in your conference, but that's heck of a scheduling right there. Everybody got to play.
Dude, did the same assistant coach? First of all, let's give him a chance. Who had the scout?
Who had the scout for that game, Coach?
We organize it in a way where all of us are involved in the game plan every single time. Okay. So, we've got, like I told you, we've got really good players and we've got really good assistant coaches. I just get to be on the show with you.
And in case you guys were wondering, just last month, this Louisiana Tech team, they beat Mississippi State. You understand?
Wait. SEC?
Yes, on the road. On the road.
Okay.
So, hey.
Say no more.
Once again, Coach Eric Conkle, he's justified being a part of the what do we call it, Alan? The cool ass college coach Tuesday. And that's what's going on. Coach, any last words for everybody out there watching? Coach, how can they follow you guys on social media?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, and it's a real joy to be with you. Thank you for all that you do to support the young people in your community. You can follow us anytime on latechsports.com or LaTech Hoops on Twitter.
All right, man. That's Coach Eric Conkle, guys, getting it done. And we are giving him the platform so you can put the name with the face and see how cool Coach is. That's how it's rocking right there. 11-3 on the season. They opening up fresh. A cool-ass coach opened up a fresh can of whoopers on these other coaches every day. You guys know how to spell that, Coach. Thanks a bunch, man. Peace out. to Coach
Hey,
Conklin
guys,
and
See you
take
later,
care now.
Coach.
Dogs of Louisiana Tech, man.
Thank you
Unbelievable,
so
great,
much.
awesome, and that's a great convo. And
Jimmy, I cut you off too. Oh my goodness. I'm still here, y'all, but I'm gonna bring Jimmy back in a minute. He'll pop back up in a minute. But how y'all like that? I think that was awesome. Glad Coach, was able to come on, and I'm just now I see why the Loftons chose Coach. As a, I see why they chose their school. Great coach. Jimmy will be back shortly. I'm calling him as we speak. Great. And Talvin Hester and this group of guys, you can hear, Jimmy should be back shortly. Jimmy, I don't know what you tried to cut off with Coach. You tried to go to Louisiana? Jimmy, do you know it's crawfish season?
no, they just coming. They just coming. They just coming.
But
You know,
so where
remember,
we go from here,
I know
Jimmy?
I know you saw my spot on the news the other day. They had a line
Jimmy.
almost a mile long.
Jimmy,
I
I'm big out there now. Jimmy, excuse me. I'm big out there now. I got real estate right around the corner from that place right now. I'm big out in Crosby now. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
as you guys can see, man, once again, guys, I mean, on the Chop Shop, just tuning in, that was a great convo with head coach Eric Kunkel, and that's how we do. When once again, hopefully we provided some good intel, or we gave him the platform to provide some good intel for you guys, and that way you use it as case in point. And if you have a college coach that you would like to hear from, let us know. I mean, trust me, man. You guys know you've been watching the Chop Shop for years. I got a whole lot of these college coaches in this cell phone. And so it's just a matter of just calling and giving them the platform so that you guys may want to hear from them and wants to pick their brains. I'll call them to the square live on the Chop Shop. That's how we roll, and that's how we rock. So shout out to Coach Conklin, man, and that was great, especially for a head coach to take out the time in the middle of his day to come and dialogue and chop it up with us on the Chop Shop. Now, let's dive right back into some stuff. We're talking NBA talk. Now, first, let's get some college stuff out the way since we're talking college basketball. Last night in SWAC action, Prairie View beat Southern 64-54 in a game that was televised on ESPN U, I think it was last night. And I dashed over to H&PE Arena at TSU to try to help bring the Tigers some good luck. But I was unfortunate in doing so. But the Tigers lost 95-80 to Alcorn in SWAC play.
Hold up, excuse me. You told me that wasn't gonna be no game. Don't even go by there, man. That's gonna make Johnny Jones better. That's what you told me yesterday, Jimmy.
Guess what, man? Guess what? I did not know that Alcorn was having a historic day from behind the 3-point mark. Guess what they were? Had a 17 for 28. They shot 60% with 28 attempted threes. They had never done that before. And one young man
I didn't get no excuse when Memphis got beat by Georgia.
Yeah, but if Georgia would have had a day like that behind the arc, it ain't a whole lot much that they could have done. One kid himself, Chris Tillery, he was 8 for 11 behind the 3-point line. Hey, man, when they doing it like that, and trust me, TSU going to beat the snot out of Alcorn next time they play. But first and foremost, all eyes point towards Saturday. That was one of those games, one of those games. Alcorn is not a better team than TSU. They just shot it better and they played better last night. I understand.
That's what I love about college basketball now. I love college basketball now. You got to play, man, every night.
And it's not a big gap between a lot of these teams. It's not like it's not. When a lot of these teams, understand, a lot of these teams are playing the SWAC, that is, unopposed to Louisiana Tech, who told you he recruiting straight out of high school. But a lot of these teams in the SWAC, a lot of them are playing with 22-year-olds throughout the starting lineup. And that's huge. That's a grown man. It's a grown man's league in there. And I was
with Jimmy. I've been checking it out. I've been watching. I know we're talking about the SWAC right now, but I've been checking college basketball out as a whole. How we've been having a constant change of the number one. The number one to get beat, then the people dropping up and down the polls. And I think the roster turnover, Jimmy, this is just my opinion, is starting to create a little volatility that is catching up with the game. The roster turnover. You need one or two things to be good in college basketball. Continuity, and you need players coming back into your program and playing. And or you just need talent. You follow me? Like Duke and Kentucky, they don't have the continuity, but they have good players filling in those roles. And with all the grad transfers, all the young players transfer leaving the game, I think, and all the the one and done guys leaving the game, I think what we're starting to see is that these rosters are in such turmoil to begin the season, man. I'm just watching. I'm just watching how things go, man. Any given night with that 3-point line, and Jimmy, the 3-point line has been moved back a little bit this year. So, I mean, man, you can get beat if you don't. Now I can throw an excuse in there for Memphis. You can't go hit 11 out of 20 free throws. You're gonna lose by 3 points. You just can't, and you're a pretty good free throw shooting team. So, in college basketball, man, it's gonna be a unique situation this year. That Jimmy, I don't know who's gonna win that thing. I'm telling you, I don't know.
Well, one of the things I was looking in the Boom Boom Room, and hey, guess what? Mm-hmm. Alabama A&M won a conference game last night. They beat Jackson State 66-57.
I thought you was going to overlook that.
So that means that Anthony Weston came from out the bushes to remind us. Now Alabama A&M, he said they beat Mississippi State before. They didn't beat them this year. Mississippi State, Alabama A&M has 4 wins. Yes, they're all against Division I schools, which most recent last night was Jackson State. They also beat Jacksonville. They beat Northern Alabama and Troy State. Come on now, Anthony Weston. Take that win and just rejoice with it right now.
Let Anthony Weston be great.
Because
let him be great today.
I mean, and he mentioned that they have 7 freshmen and 2 sophomores on their 13-man roster. Guess what?
I don't be wanting to hear that.
Guess what? Nobody in the SWAC want to care about that. So that's what you do is now Jackson State, right? Jackson State, they're 1-1 in the SWAC. So that is a big win on the road against Jackson State for Alabama A&M. Yes,
Jim,
big win.
If any given day, I can't say any given Sunday. Any given day in college basketball right now, if you don't play, you can get beat. But Jimmy, you gave me a heck of a nap. You sent me some stats the other day of a college, since we're still on college basketball. Mm-hmm. You sent me Texas and Baylor's basketball team, and you told me what jumps out on the page. Mm-hmm. That's all you sent me, right? And I replied back to you. And you said, bango. Then but 2 people off the bench got significant minutes in that game. 2, and it brings me back, Jimmy.
Significant meaning double-digit minutes.
Double digits, I'm sorry, double digits. And Jimmy, and it comes back, I'll never forget, Chris Walker talking about, he had that on his backboard behind him in his office, he always write a big number 8 on the board, and that's all be on the board. And when the kids come in there, they ask what the 8 mean. Parents, mamas, daddies, uncles. Ain't but 8 players mostly gonna play in college basketball. You better tell little Johnny, his little butt better work his butt off to be one of them 8. I talked to a kid that's going to college last night. We talked last night about this. And he one of the greatest players. They don't care when you get to college, man. What you say, you the red ant in this ant bed. When you get there, you playing against other red ants.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, I thought it was so, when you sent me that, I mean, I just looked at it and me knowing you, I've gotten a little better at just looking at the bench. See, Jimmy, I never looked at the bench. I always look at the starters. And you got me looking at the bench now.
I
You
mean,
know?
it's a unique thing, and that's why I try to encourage you guys. If you're watching the box score, I mean, seriously, I mean, as you look for your stars and see what your stars do, but look at that bench, and you could tell because that dog ain't about to create a new habit for your son
Mm-hmm.
coming in there. He's telling you what he's playing and how many he's playing. If you look at, especially once they get to conference play. I say it again, especially once conference play rolls
That's
around.
right. It does change. You're right.
Because the belt will go to an extra loop, an extra notch or two. Once conference, meaning if you played 9, you're gonna play 8. If you played 8, you're probably gonna play 7. And that's just how it is.
Yeah.
At most programs, winning programs, that is,
Yeah.
in the NCAA. And I mean, I'm looking at speaking of Baylor, I got the box score rack up here. This is a game from Saturday. Baylor defeated Texas 59-44, right, guys? 59-44 was the final score. University of Texas only scored 44 points in this game. Here's the thing. On the Texas bench, remember now, 59-44. So that means that during that down the stretch, that game was a double-digit spread.
Mm-hmm.
And still, Ramey played 31 minutes for Texas, right? At 11 points, at 5-12 from the field. How about the rest of the bench? Gerald Liddell played 7 minutes, 0 points. Royce Ham played 0 minutes. Played 3 minutes. I'm sorry. Royce Ham played 2 minutes. I got it right. He played 2 minutes, guys. 0 points. Right? And then Kai Jones, he's the kid from the Bahamas. He played 3 minutes. 0 points. So only one player played more than 7 minutes off the UT bench. You wondering? Stretch Williams, Donovan Stretch Williams, DNP. Right? Guys, it ain't, look over at Baylor. It ain't Baylor. Baylor had one guy, Bandu, played 23 minutes. Mm-hmm. Matt Mayer, he's a sophomore from out of the Austin Westlake, 17 minutes. Other than that, Clark, 6 minutes. Thumba, 5 minutes. That's it. Only 2 guys from Baylor played more than 6 minutes in a double-digit conference win. So you know what that mean? That means I look down at the end of the bench. I didn't even want to go say, y'all going in right now. We done lost this game or we done won this game. Y'all go check in with 2 minutes to go. It wasn't even like that. That's how hard it is to touch the court. And everybody's thinking that every guy supposed to just go, he can play there. Mind you, there was something that somebody posted on social media, and it was very intriguing about the University of Texas and this game, right? And I'm going to share it with you guys. Scott Drew, he's 8-2 versus Shaka. Versus Shaka Smart, right? On Baylor's roster, of all of the guys on scholarship or on the roster, it don't even matter about the walk-ons. No, they don't count toward this, what I'm about to say. There's only one player that was top 75 in the country on their roster. Texas have 9 of them. 9 top 75 players out of high school on their roster. Baylor only have 1. And guess what Baylor is? Baylor, according to the Associated Press rankings that came out yesterday, the Baylor Bears are the number 4 team in the country. Undefeated.
Try to tell you about them stars. All them stars don't mean nothing when you get to Texas. I mean, excuse me, I'm sorry, Texas. When you get to school, man. All of them stop, man. You got to play. That's why I was telling you yesterday day about the little kid Boogie Cousin. I mean Boogie Ellis.
Mhm.
Duke. They talking about Duke this. He went to Duke. He was a killer. He played for the Oakland Soldiers. Dude, you got to play like it. You got Jimmy. You got to play like you weigh.
You got to play like you weigh.
Jimmy.
And
Yeah. What somebody said something?
now, I had questions on them. Kendall Gamble says, "What's up with the Royce Ham kid? What is he waiting on?" And I'm assuming you mean what is he waiting on to transfer? Hell, he's a junior now. He's a junior now. And you have to realize, Gamble, that's a good question, but at this point, you're junior. You can't leave now. You know, he's going. I mean, he can, but because semester don't start. But you're not going to leave in the middle of semester. So he's stuck there now. Stuck there now. He could leave and have 1 year to play and sit out next year and go to. But right now, that UT degree.
Man, go get that UT degree, man.
That UT degree.
Yeah.
Hala, tell them what they need to look up online so they can understand UT. Tell them what website they need to go and just make a school.
Go look. I had to look at it, y'all.
Tell them what they need to go look up.
It's go look up PUF Fund, the Puff Fund.
I'll put on there Google
PUF Fund.
That's all you got to do. And then you'll understand. Because guess what? At some point in time, remember, all eggs don't hatch on the same day.
They don't.
So you probably didn't know about this, but this will give you a whole different perspective on the University of Texas and the potency of having one of them degrees and the alumni base.
I love Texas.
The reach with the roots of this school has. Royce Ham is a junior. Royce Ham, guess what? Royce Ham not going to play in the NBA, no matter what school he go to in the next couple of years. So guess what? He might well take that. You get that. He's right now. He's at the back door. Get that UT degree.
Yeah.
If he can graduate in 4 years, then guess what? Then he can go and play a fifth year and come on home and possibly play. You know, maybe.
He redshirted a year.
I don't think he did. Did he? Oh, he's done then. If he's redshirted, all right. Then he's stuck there. I don't know. I don't remember.
No, but I'm just saying, Jimmy. Then he wouldn't have another year. Oh, you talking about if he transferred? You talking about
if he transfer?
Okay.
Yeah. If you graduated in 4, he can play that fifth as a grad transfer. That's what I'm saying. But get that degree with Royce. Come on. And some guys, hey man, guess what, guys? He's gonna be able to come back. He can. One thing about it, he's playing with house money. They won the NIT last year.
Right.
You playing alongside, no matter what, that team has at least probably about a half dozen NBA guys that's following that team every time they play. At least a half dozen. Mm-hmm. Probably play or practice. So guess what? He's getting a chance to audition for some of those guys. And you never know what could happen.
Jimmy, it's hard to audition when you're on that bench now.
No. Not at practice, Haddle. At practice, 5 against 5. So you're going to play. He play in the scrimmage. So they get to see you in the scrimmage.
You're the mean one, Mr. Hicks.
Jeremy has looked it up on the Puff Fund. Yeah. Now do you understand, Jeremy? This Puff Fund, if you guys hadn't Googled that up.
Every oil well, they own so much land. Listen to me. The University of Texas, that Puff Fund, they own all the oil wells. Jimmy, if me and you want to go at least some of that oil well, we pay the Puff Fund. And then we got to pay a percentage of the oil that comes out of our land that you go. Jimmy, that Puff Fund going to keep getting money forever. I've never heard of a deal like that. And Texas get, I think, 60. They get more than anybody. Hold up. They give Texas A&M a little crumbs, and the rest of these schools a little crumbs. But Texas get the lion's share. I think it might be 70% of what's going. Might 65 to 70% of whatever that wealth, however that wealth is built, Texas get it. Unbelievable.
And you guys understand, it's one of the things we mentioned that we were talking about the minutes played off for the bench players. Because guess what? In all likelihood, in all likelihood, the odds are that if your kid is an incoming freshman in college, the odds are that they are going to come off the bench. That's the odds. Probably for the first time in their life for a percentage of those young men. Those college coaches don't care. They ain't got time to babysit. And for some kids, it takes a little of the feelings out of them because you're so used to being that guy. Think about the habit that was created. You were the catered to one since 6th, 7th grade. Now you the guy, you don't get to go and eat first or be the first in line, or you don't get to have the locker room where you want, or you don't get to pick what song they're going to play in the workout or in the run out line. You don't get to do none of that. You just got to get in where you fit in. That's college basketball. That's recruiting.
And Jimmy, and you know, and I keep telling, I know all we got young guys about to get ready to go to college. And parents, let me tell y'all this secret. It don't happen with everybody now, but I'm going to tell you, make sure when he step on that campus, Mr. Lofton, when they go and play, you know, they're going to go, as soon as they get on campus, they're going to go and Jimmy and go and play pickup. Jim, that day, that first day of pickup, Kenneth Lofton find everybody that's playing your position. And you want to go against them. And you tie a new, when I tell you you just can't stick the knife in them, you got to twist the knife. That first night y'all play, whoever win that night gonna have a psychological edge the rest of the nights. You got to win that first night. You got to go at them hard that first. They should go back calling their mamas and their handlers saying, man, freshman, man, I got to go to work. So, but a lot of guys just go to college, Jimmy, just they get that gear and they put it on, and then they see one of them little pretty girls and just forget about what got them there, Jimmy. And I just hope our Houston guys, our Texas guys, hey man, it's time to go to work. Then you got that freshman year. It's a lot of things you got to sacrifice. You might have to sacrifice the little cute little girlfriend you left back here. You can't be, I'm trying to tell you. You got to sacrifice something to be great. You know, you got to say, I just wanted to give y'all that public service announcement out there, Jimmy, because some of these guys, they just, you know, they go up here and see the gear and get caught up. No, dude, this thing is real when they get on their campus. What you got, Jim?
Really, really real. And that's the thing. And, you know, I was just looking at some of the Big 12 scores, looking at the standings and stuff, looking at some of the college basketball. And what else we was talking about for the last couple of minutes. And make sure, guys, take heed to some of the stuff that we're providing to you about colleges and being able to identify and read between the lines on certain situations. Nobody's going to get them all right. Not everybody's going to pick the right school. Some people's going to take a gamble and on a leap on fate sometimes, and they're going to fail in regard to that. Going to get it wrong sometimes.
Jim,
but
Doug bothering you, man, right now, Jim. That's a slug at you, man.
What happened now?
He said, hey, did TSU win last night? I was watching Love and Hip Hop. He wrong for that, man. He wrong. But Jimmy,
we already talked about it. I gave everybody the swag.
I know he came on late.
Guess what? TSU in Prairie View, 7:30 Saturday evening, guys. 7:30 Saturday evening. TSU will be hosting Prairie View. There's no high school games that night, and I'm gonna tell you something. This ain't one of them games where we should have to. Well, we're not gonna beg you to go, but we shouldn't have to strongly influence or encourage you to go. This will be a fun atmosphere. However, even though school isn't in, remember I went through this mess last year with the SWAC and how Charles McClellan was an AD at TSU and Prairie View. Mm-hmm. He's now the commissioner of the SWAC. He's supposed to know better. It's no way that you're going to be able to leave all that money on the table with certain programs. I came up with the solution. I went through the schedule. Remember how we had Coach
He
Combs
told
on?
you he couldn't do it.
No, they didn't say he couldn't do it. No, they said they want to look into it. And they could do it easily. I explained how it could be done.
I got a question. When is the game, Jimmy?
This Saturday. School is
school
in.
still out in college?
Yes.
Is at TSU?
Yes.
Man, them TSU kids ain't going nowhere, traveling no way. They in the city. They ain't going nowhere, no way. Y'all don't travel. So they ought to be around here. So they'll be at the game.
Adam, that game has routinely sold out.
I said they'll be here. They will be there, Jimmy.
No, Prairie View kids are from all over.
Oh, okay.
It don't mean Prairie View is going to be able to have their support there.
Okay.
You're losing gate.
Okay.
TSU, the TSU is going to be okay, but still.
Doug will be there. that take up a few seats.
You know what? He said a few. Now that's little Doug. They don't even one seat now. They don't even one seat now. But anyway, guys, that game is a must see. Once again, if you have a prospect, reach out to the TSU. Only the home team can provide and put your name on the list. The visiting team legally can't do that. Remember this.
Oh, the visiting team can't do it.
No, only the home team.
Oh, okay.
So that means don't wait until Friday. If you have a prospect, reach out to the TSU coaches. If you need the phone number,
get to them.
To the SID, I will provide it to you. It depends on if your son is already ranked, I will provide you with the cell phone number to the assistant coach. I'm not gonna give you the head coach.
Jim.
No, I'm just saying I'm gonna help people
ranked,
out.
Man.
Huh?
What about the young guys who ain't ranked yet?
I'm gonna send them through the SID. I'm sending them through Ryan McGinty. Okay. I'll give you Ryan McGinty's cell phone number, and you guys can contact him. But if you're ranked, I'm gonna plug you with the assistant coach, right? And I give you his cell, the parent that is, not the kids. I'm dealing only with parents.
How the parent gonna reach you? Your parent just hit you up?
Yeah, just hit me up. If I DM me, and remember I'm on social media at RCS Sports. Or you can send us an email, chopshophtx@gmail.com.
I like the way
this is real. What this does is this will enable you to be able to get your name placed on their recruiting list for the games, and you will be able to that young man or that young lady, because one thing about the SWAC games, the females play right before the men. You know, if you guys forgot, Cynthia Cooper is the head coach of the TSU women's basketball team.
Okay, and
I'm just saying. So we have Chuck Cowan and Trey Phillips and a lot of guys on the female side. Same thing. They on the list same way. You got the call. I got the assistant coach's cell number for TSU females as well. He's in here. There's a lot of numbers in this thing right here. Right? So I will plug you if you don't have it so that you can be able to save time and get added to the list. And this will be cool because guess what that means? You guarantee good seats. You guaranteed, I think each kid get like 3 tickets per prospect, if I'm not mistaken. But it's going to, and that way, guess what?
Every seat in that building is a good seat to me.
Oh, it's a good atmosphere, man.
It's a great place to watch the game.
It really is. I just hate that school isn't in. Because both those...
it'll be in, when they go up there and play, they already played Prairie View up there yet?
No.
It'll be in then. Just go up there. It's school to be in then. But Jimmy, speaking of Boston, Jim, I saw something last night. Before we go back into, I saw an entertainment thing last night that kind of blew me away, Jimmy. Somebody told me, because I was watching other stuff, man, the Golden Globes. Guess what my homeboy, Jay-Z, and his wife did last night? You know, the Lion King was up for something, and I think one of her songs is in the Lion King. So she had an invitation. But they didn't come to Jimmy. Check this out. Jay-Z Jay-Z and Beyonce, they did not come to the red carpet, Jimmy. They came an hour late. And they were sitting at the table with Jennifer Aniston and Ellen. Ellen got an award, a big award of, I forgot, for Carol Burnett Award, Carol Burnett Award, a big award. So Ellen, her wife, her husband, whatever that is, that situation, Jennifer Aniston, they come to the table. Beyonce's bodyguard was walking with 2 bottles of Ace of Spades to the table, walking through the place. He had the 2 bottles of Ace of Spades. Beyonce, Jay-Z following him, Jimmy, right? Jimmy, they sat down at the table and popped the bottles and was pouring it to Ellen. But Jimmy, what was so ironic about it was Moet was a sponsor that paid millions of dollars to sponsor that event. Moet sponsored the Golden Globes. And Jay-Z brought his champagne in there and put it on top of the table. I said, wow, unbelievable. How about that, Jimmy? Now you can take it away. I just had to tell you that. I ain't never seen no boss move like that. I've never seen it done like that.
And so now, of course, before we had Coach Conker on, we just started diving into, let's shift gears and go right into the NBA action from last night. And the Philadelphia 76ers 120 to 113 over the OKC Thunder halted the 5-game win streak from OKC. In that game, Chris Paul, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists in the loss. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 14 points, 9 rebounds in the loss. But on the side of the Philadelphia 76ers, how about Ben Simmons? 17 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists in the win. Joel Embiid had 18, 9, and 8 in 33 minutes. Richardson, 23 points. Al Horford, 13. Tobias Harris, 18. The whole starting 5 had double digits for Philly in that win. Burke come off the bench with 12. When this team is clicking like that, and I say this means Philly, guess what? It still was a close game, but Philly is this was a home game, and where they're 17-2 at home this season.
Jimmy, they needed that win bad, Jimmy.
They needed that win to be able to put some things in perspective because they were spiraling. And remember now, we are roughly 1 month from the trade deadline.
Yes.
And Elton Brand is beginning to feel some of the fire from people questioning whether Philly has what it takes to get out of the East. Not just saying get out of the East, but even to get to the NBA, to the Eastern Conference Finals, that is. Mind you, this team has not met expectations. They are not alone in the NBA. But if the playoffs started today, Philly would not have home court advantage. If it started today, they would not have home court advantage in the Eastern Conference.
And Statman, I got something for you, Statman.
What you got?
I want you to take a look at this. Bojan Bogdanovic last night for the Utah. Jimmy, look, you the stat man. Check. How many times, you remember you talking about Anthony Davis, that ain't going to happen again. How many times do you think this will happen again? Jimmy, the man had 35 points. Check this out, y'all. 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, and 0 blocks. Let me repeat that and press play again. He had 35 points. He didn't get not 1 rebound. He didn't get not 1 assist. He didn't get not 1 steal. He didn't get 1 block. Jimmy, I ain't never seen a stat line like that in my entire life.
And he took over 20 shots. That's another thing you have to add to that. He took over 20 field goal attempts. That means normally you shoot one and get your own rebound, you can miss it. He didn't get a single.
He was shooting and going back down on the court. I've never seen that though, dude.
And Utah Jazz picked up a 2-point win over New Orleans. And and that Lonzo Ball scores 20 points again.
Yes, about 4 or 5 times in a row.
Yeah, something like that. And 7 assists.
You told me he was heavy trash, but that's all right. I
No,
went on took it.
I didn't put Alonzo out for heavy trash just yet. I didn't do that. I haven't done that.
Somebody did that to me.
I didn't say heavy trash. Now, regarding to the Lakers and that experiment and what he was suspected to be based on his daddy's projections, his public projections, that I was giving heavy pushback against that. Remember now, he basically said his son would be would surpass, he was more valuable than Steph Curry. That's what he said. Remember that, the dad.
Well, you know, that's when I cut him. That's when I stopped him from drinking.
But last night, speaking of action last night, how about the Joker last night?
47.
Speaking of stat lines, Jokic from the Denver Nuggets, guys. Remember now, this Denver team is in second place now. They were tied with Houston, and now they won last night. They're half game ahead of the Rockets in the standings. Of course, the Lakers is first in the West. But the Joker had 47 points, 16 for 25 from the field, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, no turnovers in 37 minutes, and a W. Trae Young, 29 points in the win, only took 12 shots. Awesome and very efficient for Trae Young to go with 12 assists in that loss for Atlanta. Right now, speaking of NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers, they have, according to Bleacher Report, they have entertained conversations about moving Kyle Kuzma.
He had to go.
He hadn't gone away yet.
I say he had to go, Jimmy. He got to go, Jimmy. You can't talk about the Kane. You and your partner. So that means if your partner was talking about him, you was talking about him too with your partner. So guess what? You and all that little funny hair, you got to go.
So, I mean, one option is for him to go to New Orleans for E'Twaun Moore. Would the Pelicans actually make another trade with the Lakers?
Yeah, it worked out well for the Pelicans. Trade with the Lakers. Hey, it worked out well.
You know, Zion Williamson is expected to, he's starting 5-on-5s, and he's expected to join the team.
Play, Jimmy.
You know what? They too far in. This team is going to get a lot of the ball no matter what. So you might well get him out there and get him some play, get him some burn. He's not in the situation. Guess what? You see how out of shape that he looks? I mean, you got to get him out there.
Man,
You
the
can't
man's fat, man.
sit him down on the sideline. That guy might be 300 pounds by the time the offseason come around. So let him get out there and play. But
Man, that big collard green dude, he can.
Now, say Chuck McCown said get rid of DJ Rondo and DJ Augustine. DJ Augustine doesn't play for the Lakers.
No. He said, and get DJ Augustine.
Oh, and get DJ Augustine. Get him. No, that's not gonna. That's not
gonna happen.
Rondo is not a bad asset off the bench. You just got to keep Avery Bradley healthy. He's hurt again.
Avery can't stay healthy, Jimmy.
That's the key. You got to be able to get him healthy.
They trying to trade him too. They try, but Jimmy, you know what? I found out too today. There's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA that a lot of people don't behind the scenes. Contracts of a lot of these players will be guaranteed today by 5 if they not cut or released today. Their contract's gonna be guaranteed. JaMychal Green, Caleb Martin,
Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard.
Oh yeah.
That's a big one right there.
Hardenstein, Gary Clark, and Ben McLemore, Kristen Wood from Detroit. So yeah, Shaq Harrison from Chicago. Yeah, these guys, they had partially guaranteed deals, and they after the day, if 4 o'clock our time. But Jimmy, today too, it's a little different for Anthony Davis. I don't know if you remember the 6 months extension restriction for Anthony Davis has now been lifted. He had a 6 months restriction because you remember he rescinded that trade kicker to sign with the Lakers. Now Davis is eligible to sign a 4-year, $146 million extension or wait until July and sign a 5-year, $200 million if he opts out the contract. Like I said, the restriction was placed because AD waived his trade bonus. And that's, just a couple of things going around in the NBA that a lot of people probably don't even know about. And Jimmy, hold up, one more thing. Does it matter? And I want y'all to be real with me. Jimmy Butler is a sneaker free agent right now. Does it matter? As anybody, just give me a yes or no. Do Jimmy Butler move the needle to you buying shoes? I'm not talking about overseas or nothing like that. But Jimmy Butler, does Jimmy Butler make you want to go buy your son a pair of shoes? Yo, Jimmy, a question to you. Does Jimmy Butler make you go buy Nico a pair of shoes? Little Nico.
Well, now Jimmy Butler would Jimmy Butler, if he lived in the city and his city was winning and exceeding expectations as the Miami Heat are doing, and guards can move some sneakers.
We ain't talking about one city. To make a dent, you're gonna need more than one city.
But understand, Jimmy Butler's fingerprints is on 3 cities in the NBA. Well, actually 4 cities in the NBA, and that's the Minnesota, Chicago, Philly, and Miami.
Jimmy, I knew how you was gonna think. I shouldn't even ask you. Hey, boy, Boom Boom Room is lighting it up. I hear y'all. Boom Boom's on the hell no. I mean, he don't move the needle. I ain't talking about. Even in this city. I don't even know what Air Jordans he wore. Can anybody explain to me what did he wear a Jordan that was specially for him? What Jordans were he known for? I'm not trying to slight him. Because it's news now. He's a sneaker free agent. So a lot of people talking about where should he go? But I talked to some marketing people in New York, and they just said this guy don't move the needle. And they asked me, Robert, does he move the needle to you? And I said, no. So I'm just sharing it with y'all. That's all. Okay, Freightman say he wore some Air Tomballs.
No, that ain't what he wore.
Yeah.
That ain't what.
Yeah.
But,
it's just unique. It's just something. I just wanted to know from my people. Dodo, hey man, Jimmy.
Man, ain't nothing unique about Jimmy Butler and some tennis shoes.
Okay. All right. But they talking about it. They talking Jimmy on Madison Avenue. I got a call from Madison Avenue on New York. They were talking about it. But George, Jimmy, Dodo been putting up some numbers, and I remember. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I didn't know Dodo was that good. Dorian Branch is something to be reckoned with, y'all, on that floor for U of H, Jimmy. I know you, Jimmy, I don't know if you've been keeping up with her. Every time I look at Twitter, they talking about Dorian Branch. So shout out to Dodo. It's my girl. Keep on doing your thing. Chop shop for life.
Oh, absolutely. And now, guys, we want to get you closing around the back 9.
Okay.
And one of the things I want to remind you of, according to in the Dallas Morning News, the football game from last month, the state championship between North Shore. The North Shore beat Duncanville again. That game drew 47,818 fans.
How many?
47,818 was the official count for that game. Of course, North Shore won 31-17 in the Class 6A state championship. How about this? To date, there were 39 bowl games. That was more than 27 of the 39 bowl games. That one high school game had more attendance than 27 of the 39 bowl games. You know, I would not be surprised if the UIL entertained the thought of calling their Class 6A state championship and naming it a bowl. That's what I'm saying now. You know, you can do that yourself. A private sponsor can easily come in. They take sponsorships anyway. It just never had nobody step up to sponsor the entire game, whether it be basketball or football. Go, if you think I'm joking, look in the program. Look on the banners that's going around the stadium. They have sponsors, people that have bought ad space. So it just this is going to open the thought.
Jimmy, I know you made that comparison, but it's not. I know it's not a fair comparison. Those bowl games don't have the communities involved in it. Most of them people that's in the communities where them bowl games, they don't buy into that bowl game. It's a sponsor-driven situation. So
Penn State or Memphis did not have people in that community. So how do you explain Penn State? Penn State played Memphis in the Cotton Bowl.
Them two ranked teams. I'm talking about the teams that we're not talking about them. I'm talking about the teams that had more than. They had more than 27. Okay, so
of the 39
that ain't got nothing
bowls.
to do with Penn State and Memphis. We talking about them 27 guys. Those 27 guys that the 27 teams we talking about.
Auburn, that game that Auburn played in, that game Notre Dame played in. Those were two. They had more than them.
They had more than Auburn.
Yes.
And Notre Dame. Down years for them because those two teams that usually travel.
You said they played right next door in Florida, I think.
I know, but those guys usually travel.
They also had more than Notre Dame in their game. Understand, that's a lot of people. And the Penn State Memphis game only passed them by 7,000. They only had 7,000 more. They had 54,000 in that game, the Cotton Bowl Classic. But what I was saying is that don't be surprised with all of the corporations in Dallas if somebody doesn't make a proposal to sponsor the Class 6A state championship. Once again, it's televised. They sell commercials off that game. Those are the only games that understand. Now, meanwhile, the 2020 state championship location has not been confirmed yet, but they don't have no reason to move it away from Dallas, which gives a lot of the DFW teams sort of a home field advantage. Last time it was in Houston, they had a dud when it came to attendance, and from what I understand, the NRG stadium was it cost more than what Jerry Jones is letting the UIL have the AT&T stadium for. The ideal thing would have been to rotate it. I don't understand why that never got adopted. That way, if you rotate it, everybody has a chance. When I say everybody, I mean DFW. You got the ASAC area, which is Austin, San Antonio, and Killeen. That would be, you can have that in the Alamo Dome, and then you can have NRG. And if you're rotating that thing, or even just put it in 2-year intervals, you can rotate it in 2 years. That way, if you get sponsors, that way they can latch on. You can, but that would be the ideal thing. A lot of people propose that. Then, hey, guess what? You put it in those 3, and you rotate it with throw a fourth city in there. And the fourth city, it can vary between there's not going to be a really big market, but at least you give the have-nots a chance to be able to, some of those fans, trust me, it would stack the stadium. I know that, at an El Paso in that Sun Bowl, but at the same time, they want it indoors because of the weather in December. You don't know never know what the weather will be like in Texas. But that's one of the things now. Something else we want to talk about now that you're back is
Yeah, I just took a little break.
last week, a young man from out of Florida who was only days away from leaving for college, killed himself. Young fellow went and jumped right in front of a train, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Committed suicide. Black kid.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that since from 1991 to 2017, there's a 73% increase in suicide attempts. That's according to the American Journal of Pediatrics. 73% increase. Now, this young man, his family had just recently became homeless.
And he was on the way to Georgia Tech on that Monday.
On his way to college.
Mm-hmm.
Family was homeless, but not many people, it hadn't been publicly known over the weekend, had known that he was homeless. I'd be surprised if nobody knew. But a lot of people saying they didn't really know he was homeless. He's living with his mom, his family, not just him. He didn't run away from home. And this young man
in a hotel, wasn't he?
Yeah, staying in a hotel. And this young man decided to end his life.
18 years old.
And remember, he graduated school early so that he can go enroll in school. Everybody was upbeat. Everybody was saying that's the thing to do because they knew that life wasn't grand for the young man. They didn't know he had become homeless either. You understand? People, you don't have to have 4-day-old clothes on and smell like stench just to be homeless. My thing is, a lot of these young men out here, and some are coaches, high school coaches, relatives, you never know what some of these young people are going through. You don't know where their resistance level ends in regards to their mental capacity, what they can take, what they can't take. You combine that with relationship. You don't know what little girl done got into his heart and then told him, leave me alone. Somehow with these young people, our today's message is let's try to find a way. I don't have biological kids, but how do you guys out there get your kids to stop playing the video games just for a hot minute and to start and exchange some time from the video game to read a book, a newspaper, a magazine, or a current event? How do you do it? Is it hard to do? I don't know. Is it hard to do? I have a good buddy of mine, his son won the spelling bee at his school last year. And every time I see him, he's playing the game. He got so cold with the video games now, Hatter. When I went by over the weekend, he had one cell phone with the video game on in front of him. I could see it from afar because I got my glasses on. And he had another cell phone in his hand that had the same screen on, and he looked at it, I don't know what he was doing, but you guys might know if you play the video game. And he was grooving in 2 cell phones, laying on the floor. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I don't need to talk to him. I need to talk to my partner to let my partner know, hey man, you gotta be able to put the book, you gotta be able to read something. You gotta be able to connect, you gotta be able to talk with him or something. And let me read the boom boom boom. You guys can tell me, how do you, I'm looking at some of the comments right now. Kevin Freeman said, I have no problem with my kids. No video games during the week, only on the weekend. Yeah, but I'm talking about the ones that are already playing the video game. That means they're hooked already. They are addicted already. What's going on, Yolanda Green? How you doing? Happy New Year to you, girl.
Hey, yo.
But if you have kids that are already addicted to the video games or social media, how can you get them weeded off of it just for a minute to try to get them enthused about reading something, communicating with you, dialoguing with you? Now, they'll tell you when they're hungry. They'll tell you when they're ready to go, or they want to go to the store, or they want to go hang out with the friend, go to the friend. They will stop and tell you then. How do y'all get them to do it? Angela says those kind of activities are the reason people's mind can't shut off. That's something, I'm looking, I'm like, whoa, can't communicate. These kids, they don't want to vote. They don't want to communicate. And there are droves of people out there who know that, who've already begun to stereotype our kids to understand they ain't gonna get off the couch. They're gonna keep playing them video games. They done lost faith. They don't care. You know why? Because they hear some of the things and they watch some of the things that the parents do. And it shows or leads the kid to believe that you don't care. Kids hear that. They see that. First of all, we do more talking in front of kids nowadays than any previous generation.
But Jimmy, what would make a kid go jump in front of a train? What would make a kid? I didn't want to. I've been dodging this topic because it just hit me to the core because I know that area. I recruited that area for a long. That's Patrick Peterson lived not far from there. Jimmy, it just and I heard somebody about a month or two before had a kid had jumped in front. Somebody had jumped in front of a train down in Florida, but I'm just trying to figure out. And I know you trying to get into the psyche of some of the kids that play the video game. I'm just trying to see what makes a young man who on Monday I can get out of this situation. Was it his burden by leaving his family behind in the situation? I don't know, y'all. I mean, it's just, that's why I said I just don't know. I mean, to the psychologists and the psychoanalyst people on there, that's why I keep telling you these pressures that sometimes us parents or these parents putting on these kids, these high school basketball players and football players. You remember, Jimmy, I talked about it months ago. Some of these kids come, like I told you, I had to do an intervention for a kid. Kid said, when I tell you this kid can play, kid can get a scholarship, he told me, I just don't want to play. Man, I want to go to trade school, man. I don't like the pressure that's been put on me to play this game. I like the game, but the pressures that been put on me to play this game at a high level, it was wearing this kid down. I mean, I'm sitting there saying, dude, he mentally drained me that day because I used every analogy I could in the world to just try to reach him. It's not my job. I'm not a psychoanalyst. I'm not a psychiatrist. It just caught me off guard. So, Jimmy, that's my thing. Young man. He had to be smart. Georgia Tech, some football players they let in, but to get in Georgia Tech, they don't just recruit every kind of athlete, Jimmy. So it's it got me. It touched me. It touched me a million times, Jimmy. I mean, a million times. That's why I didn't. I know everybody was texting us yesterday. Why don't we talk about it? Why don't we talk about it? I saw it on the Facebook feed. People would text me and you on a group text. Man, I just don't know.
Say, young, black people are least likely to receive mental health care. Black people. The young man, according to one of the news stations in Florida, said that his mother had published. Think about this. We just talked about addictions to social media. She went on Facebook and made a video trying to explain to people about her son after he had committed suicide. Boy, not even in the ground yet. Show you how addicted. And Anthony Wilson say the mom was mentally ill. I don't know her.
Dude, I heard 4 words come out of her mouth, and I ain't gonna lie, I turned it off. I ain't even heard the whole thing. I just found it. I just didn't understand her talking about it. I turned it off. You can finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I remember in the stories, he asked his mom, "Are you gonna be okay?" Right before he left. That was according to the report. And he left his cell phone in there. So maybe he knew what he was doing. He left his cell phone there.
Yeah, and his wallet.
And what? But damn! Unless the hotel is right next to the train track, you don't know the train coming. Yeah, we don't know when the bus coming. So I think it was an impulse decision, Alan. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like you saying, "Oh, it's 10 o'clock. The train about to come."
Jimmy, he left all of that stuff for a reason. Jimmy, in those little small towns like that, you know when the train gonna come. This ain't Houston now. This ain't Houston now. I mean, I don't know, man. Dude, it's just y'all gotta understand. Every time I think about my kids, every time I think about this boy. Come on, man. Our kids are our everything.
This is really.
It's deep.
Understand something, guys. This young man was signed not to a regular college, not to a D3, not to a D2. He was signed to Georgia Tech.
ACC, Jimmy.
I'm not even talking about the conference. I'm talking about the academic component, what it takes to get into Georgia Tech.
What you must well listen. I just said that.
Georgia Tech is above Rice.
Yeah.
In the pecking order. In that one of their schools, I remember reading a story in the Time magazine a few years ago. Georgia Tech is above Georgia Tech. You can't.
Bad what? Man. Yeah. I just said that. You must have been texting. You must have been paying attention. I just said that. This kid had the mental aptitude to get into Georgia Tech.
So something, obviously his conversation with his mom, it sounds like was probably the last conversation that he had with his mom. His mom, Trey Phillips said, the mom kept telling him she couldn't deal with his problems because of her.
Her problem, right? And she had problems. And you're homeless, you got problems. It's unbelievable, man. Jimmy, I'll never forget this. Never forget this. I ain't gonna call his name, but NBA basketball player. He was in junior college. It was years ago. He was in junior college, right? You know, from the East Coast, rough neighborhood. Grew up in a rough neighborhood. He went to junior college, and got blessed to get a scholarship to go to a power conference. Go to a power conference, Jim. And guess what happened? He told the coach said, the junior college coach said, look, do you want me to fly you back home? He said, heck no. Get me a ticket to the college that I'm going to. I don't want to go back home. I don't want to go back to them streets out there. I don't want to go up there. Man, that's... I thought about the kid. I thought about that when it happened. I thought about that when it happened to this kid. That's the first thing I thought of. The kid said, I don't want to be here. Get me back. Send me straight to the college. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff, and we can land the plane. Let's land on a positive note, Jimmy. Let's pray for that family. And now they got funerals. Jimmy, they got funerals they got to pay for.
Well, he was signed with Georgia Tech, so technically he's a student athlete. He has it's kind of like, remember when it was almost approximately 10 years ago. It was May of 2010 when Toby Oyedeji from Bel Air High School got killed coming home from the prom.
Oh my God!
He had signed with Texas A&M. That was May of 2010.
Yeah.
This is 2010, January. So, but A&M was able to do some. NCAA gave them a waiver to do some stuff for the funeral. I'm quite sure if they gave one for Toby 10 years ago, NCAA don't want to get in the way of this. They'll let Georgia Tech help to make a proper burial for this young man. And but thing is, man, once again, gotta talk to these kids. From my understanding, the young man was tough, but then he might have been tough to everything in the world, but mama might have been his one soft spot, which it ain't nothing wrong with that. And that one soft spot, when that mom probably told him, maybe, man, stop complaining. I can't time to deal with your stuff. I got my own stuff to worry about. That might have been the trigger. That might have been the trigger that made that young man say, you know what? I ain't got nothing to live for no more. I'm trying to do all this to help mom and the family.
Ain't nothing like a love of a young man and his mom. Nothing like it in the world. Nothing like it.
Guys, I'm that done knocked all the wind out of me. I just can't. I mean, it's something you can do. So we just gotta get better.
You just got to.
Guys, on that note, get ready to land this plane.
Yeah.
And don't forget there are high school games around the area today. You can go
tonight, Jim.
RCS Sports.
I can look at RCS Sports today.
And you guys can see, I got to go and add my predictions. I didn't think I put the numbers in there this morning, Haller. I got to go and add my predictions in there. That's everybody waiting on. I had the games are there. You can see what times. But the predictions aren't there for you guys. I'm going to put them on there shortly after we got there. Some of the top games tonight, and if you're in Beaumont, Westbrook at Beaumont United. They've been waiting on that game for a little while. That's going down tonight.
Why are you waiting on that game?
Well, because both teams are ranked in the area.
Okay.
And Beaumont United is ranked in the top 10 in the state.
Okay.
So it's a showdown, and that's in Beaumont because Andre Boutte, the former head coach at Beaumont Ozan, it was rumored that he wanted that Beaumont United job. So anytime he gets to play against that team, he wants to be able to stick it to him. Also tonight, Bel Air and Sam Houston.
Okay.
That's a
Is Bel Air any good this year?
Yeah, Bel Air's pretty good, huh?
Okay,
Bel Air,
that's my man. I just ain't went to see him.
Yeah, Bel Air hadn't lost but like 3 games all season.
Shout out to Bruce Glover then.
Yeah, Bel Air's been getting it in. And Sam Houston, they're good this year. So guess what? It's a showdown. This is a district game. A district game between those two teams.
Okay. What else you got?
And I have the rankings right here. I got Sam Houston at number 16, Bel Air at number 20. And I'm going to put a link, and that's the rankings of the top high school teams in the area. And that game is at 7 o'clock at Butler Fieldhouse. That's Bel Air and Sam Houston. Another one of the top games tonight to see, Shadow Creek at Marshall. Shadow Creek is rolling along. They have a top 10, one of the top, let me see, what are they ranked in the state? Shadow Creek is ranked number 2 in the state. But I'm waiting on Friday. They play Hightower, who's number 3 in the state. No matter what, it's going to be definitely, that's part 1 of the 2 matchups that these teams will have to play over the next month or so. Also tonight, you have Tompkins at Martin Ranch. Tompkins picked up a big win over Cinco Ranch the other day. And if you hadn't seen LJ Cryer play, this is a great time to watch him play. I mentioned yesterday, breaking news, that Eddie Lampkin is not expected to miss the whole season. As it first reported, he should be available toward the end of the district play. North Shore at C.E. King. How do you remember C.E. King opened up a new football stadium and they played some football games there last week?
Yeah.
Well, the school opens up today for the very first time, the actual school. So know what that means? The basketball gymnasium have their very first game tonight. Will host North Shore, and North Shore is ranked in the state. They're number.
Is C.E. King any good, or they just got a new gym?
C.E. King is solid enough to pull off an upset. They're not a power team. They're not ranked in the top 25 in the area. But guess what? C.E. King has, and guess what? You want to be part of history? Then that's a game to see, because you can see them break in the new stadium or the new gymnasium at C.E. King, which is located along the Northeast Beltway, the East Beltway that is, between Summer Creek and North Shore. Both of those schools are right off the Beltway, but C.E. King is right adjacent to the Beltway 8 as well. Those are some of the games, guys. Check out some high school action, but it's time for us to land this plane. Got to get out of here, get some meetings going on. But thanks a bunch to Coach Comfort, the Louisiana Tech Bulldog family for watching the Chop Shop. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to everybody who shared the show. That is very important for our digital footprint. Make sure you take out the time to go to the homepage and like our show as well. Like the show, like our YouTube page. That's Chop Shop HTX on all social media platforms. Feel free to send us an email if you have something to put in the mailbag or a topic that you want us to dive into on tomorrow. That's chopshophtx@gmail.com. That's chopshophtx@gmail.com.
And also, you can see the replay. If you want to come back and see it right soon after the show, it's uploaded directly after the show to YouTube. So if you want to see it again, you can go there. But please subscribe and like the page. Thank you so much. Jimmy?
And thank you guys, man. See you guys on tomorrow. It's time to slide on down. Dino's back and yabba dabba do this thing. We up out here, guys. Until tomorrow. Chop shop.
I'm out.
Jim Hicks, Rob Hatter. You are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro. Let's get it.